play a game. Go to Amazon and search a recent piece of hit news in the subject bar. Preferably something that would have happened in the past 2 years and put book at the end. Then after you click enter, go ahead to the filter section and filter these books by newest release. Now I want you to go ahead and scroll down and see if you can find a book with a publication date as close to the event that it is describing as possible. Click on that book, and now I'm going to ask you a couple questions. What is the length of the book? Is it perhaps between 60 and 80 pages? Look at the author name. Is it a first name, middle initial, last name combination? If you click on the link for the author, does nothing show up? How about reviews? Does this book have 0 reviews? How does the cover look? Are there overlaid photos and generic fonts? And finally, the publication date. Is this book published within a day or less of the event that took place? Congratulations! If you answered yes to most of these questions, you have found an AI-generated book. With the rise of AI taking over the book industry, we've had a recent development of AI slop, Kindle news reports. There is a book that was recently published that has now since been scrubbed from the internet. A book that was allegedly published the day before the events of the book took place. And the contents of that book have left me with more questions than answers, because something is just not adding up. If you're new around here, my name is Beck Leavesley and I'm an author, and I also run this channel as a place where we get together and we talk about current events surrounding the book and film publishing industry, as well as talking about stories and analyzing the meaning behind stories. My credentials are: number 1, research is free.
Anyone can do it.
And number 2, I have self-published on Amazon before. I'm not like an indie guru by any means, but I do understand the ins and outs of Amazon's KDP publishing system, maybe more than the average person. And I have actually spoken with certain people who have worked for Amazon when I was publishing my book. Now, before we get any further, I want to be clear that I am not going to be describing the actual events that these books are written about, because the main book that we will be discussing in this video, which you saw in the thumbnail and in the title, has already had a lot of videos made about it on platforms like TikTok and Instagram, and those videos have been taken down. Now, I don't know why, and because of that, I'm going to be extremely intentional with what words I use and what I say, so don't be offended. This is not about you. It's just I think that what I have to say in this video is important, and I want this video to stay up. I know it's not ideal, but I need you to work with me on this, okay? Now, when it comes to AI books, I understand there's a lot of shocking new developments. We've got witch hunts, we've got cancellations, publishers are saying they're selling their authors' rights to AI. We've got all this crazy stuff going on. But for me, personally, none of this has been shocking. But the one thing that has itched my brain for as long as I've seen all these books come out is the burning question of how do these AI books get published so fast? And I don't mean written, because I'm willing to grant that it could take mere seconds for someone to generate an entire novel's worth of bogus text. I'm talking about the time it takes for someone to upload their book to Amazon to the time when it actually goes live for purchase. In 2023, there was an AI-generated book about the Maui fires. The Maui fires started on August 8th, and this book was published on August 10th. That's 2 days. In 2024, there was an AI-generated book about Donald Trump winning the US presidential election. He won on November 5th, and this book was published on November 6th. That's 1 day. In 2025, there was an AI book written about Taylor Swift's engagement, which happened on August 26th, and this book was published on August 26th. Based on the time that she posted her engagement, that means that this book would have had to gone up within 11 hours. And then on September 10th, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And within 2 hours and 17 minutes, an AI-generated book describing the details of the attack was published on Amazon, but with a publication date of September 9th, the day before. What is going on? You may have heard that Amazon has a required 72-hour processing period from when you upload a book to when it can go live on Amazon. And that is not true. Amazon states that your book can be processed up to 72 hours, not a maximum requirement. And I actually know this from personal information given to me by people who work at Amazon, because when I was publishing my book, I wanted it to go live on June 17th. So I made a prerequisite call to Amazon, making sure that I had all the information I needed to make sure it went live on June 17th and not later. And in that call, this is what they told me. Essentially, Amazon has the ability to see the exact time that you click publish on your book. The Amazon rep told me that all books have to go through an automatic processing system. Once that automatic processing system is done, however, the book can go live at any time. There is no guaranteed set time that it will be up for purchase. What they also told me though is that when that automatic processing system is done, they can actually go in and manually upload your book for sale on Amazon. See what I'm saying? There is not a maximum amount of time that is required for these books to be processed. So while I'm sorry to burst your bubble, this is not the Amazon gotcha moment that Twitter seems to think it is, but that call actually gave me more information that I think is more useful than this fake 72-hour claim that people are making. There are things that I know that Amazon knows, and I am surprised that they are not telling us, especially when it comes to this Charlie Kirk book. The timeline. Remember when I said that this book was published within 2 hours and 17 minutes of the attack? How did I get that number? Well, Charlie Kirk was assassinated at 12:23 p.m. Mountain Time. His death was announced at 2:40 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 2 hours and 17 minutes total. But why does that matter? Why am I assuming that this book had to have been published before his actual death was announced? Well, I got my hands on a copy of this book, and I read the whole thing. This book, over and over and over again, states that Charlie Kirk survived the shooting. So if this book had been generated at any point after 2:40 p.m. Mountain Time, I find it extremely unlikely that the AI would not have included his actual death and instead said that he survived it. And I will concede that it is entirely possible that this book was up for purchase after the time of his death and that whoever had generated it simply didn't care to update the information. But because I wasn't able to discern the exact moment that this book went live for purchase on Amazon, I'm sticking to my 2 hours and 17 minutes time frame. But what about that September 9th date? Because this 2 hours and 17 minutes doesn't matter at all if the book was supposedly written and published the day before and somehow whoever generated it knew about what was going to happen at UVU the following day. That is a theory that has been well spun on the internet, so I can't not talk about it. With everything I've looked at, there are only 3 possible explanations, and they all contradict each other.
Which is just really fun for us.
Number 1, the time zone theory. There is a theory that states that whoever was publishing this book was in a time zone that was technically still living in September 9th when the events in question took place. If we go with our 2 hours and 17 minutes window, we can deduce that this section of the Earth was still technically living in September 9th when the events took place. Hey, editing back here. I'm not really sure what I was saying in the scripted version that I have written out, but as I'm editing it, I don't even know what point I was trying to make, so I'm gonna try and re-say it, so hopefully it makes more sense, because I think I just confused myself. Essentially, Amazon uses UTC, so all of their stuff isn't adjusted for daylight savings and stuff, it's just normal time zones, and that could explain why the book would say September 9th instead of September 10th. However, it does not explain why some people were seeing September 9th and some people were seeing September 10th, because that date that you click upload for your book, the date that you publish it, that's metadata that's locked into the book. That just automatically uploads. That doesn't shift depending on what time zone you're viewing it from. So when these videos were coming out and some people were saying it was September 9th and some people were saying it was September 10th, I wish I knew where those people were that were viewing it, what time zone they were in when they were seeing that different date, but we don't have that information, unfortunately. But the other thing that doesn't make sense with this specific explanation is that it would pretty much 100% make sense for why the book said September 9th when it was, actually September 10th when the events happened, except for the fact that that is most decidedly not the reason that Amazon gave us for why it said September 9th. Number 2, the glitch theory. This isn't so much a theory because it actually is the official statement given to us by an Amazon representative. Here's what we're told. Due to a technical issue, the date of publication that had been displayed for this title while it was briefly listed is incorrect, and we apologize for any confusion this may have caused. The title was published late in the afternoon on September 10th. But remember what I said earlier? Amazon knows the exact minute that you click publish on your book. So I don't get why they're using this extremely vague language of late afternoon. Just tell us what time it was published. Like, dispel the theories completely and give us exact information. It would help all of us build a better timeline and help us understand just how quickly this book was greenlighted for purchase. Unless that's the point, and we are not supposed to know how quickly this book was greenlighted for purchase. Maybe they're counting on the fact that you didn't read the book and that you don't know it had to have been generated before 2:40 p.m. Mountain Time.
But luckily for you, you subscribe to the Beck Leavesley YouTube channel and you know all the insider information.
My other issue with this is just that because of all the group discussions, the forums, the subreddits, the dozens of indie publishing spaces that I am in and that I've asked questions in, I have never heard of this glitch. I've heard of release dates getting swapped with other books that had similar titles. I've heard of people who made updates to their book and then the release date updated to the day that they made the updates. But I've never heard of a glitch that has actually given a book an earlier release date than it actually was published. Now, I want to be clear, that is just on my research alone, and any experience from a credible source could dispel this concern of mine completely and prove that it is actually a glitch. But that's also part of my issue, is that a glitch is a really easy thing to blame. It's something that only happens once, you don't have to prove it has a history of happening, and then it goes away without any hassle.
It's a glitch! That's what glitches do!
But really, my specific issue with this glitch has to do with the third theory. Number 3. This theory is what I like to call the totally normal, not weird at all, it's actually perfectly fine and nothing to be worried about theory. This theory was first issued by British investigative journalist Nick Stapleton. According to him, Amazon actually allows the release date for a book to be set prior to the date it was actually published. He says, quote, "A clever scammer has AI generated a nonsense text about the shooting of Charlie Kirk, and then set it as being released before he was shot, creating a situation in which people who are inclined to believe his death was some kind of conspiracy will be more likely to buy this entirely worthless book." So that answers it, right? I mean, this was just someone trying to stir up controversy, and lucky for them, Amazon lets you set the publication date to whatever you want. Except they don't. Nothing I can find supports the theory that Amazon lets you backdate publication for ebooks. They do let you do that for print and hardcover books, but ebooks are locked in. The publication metadata for that appears as soon as the book goes live. I'm not a British investigative journalist, and maybe there's something that Nick knows that I don't. But like, I even went into my own book and tried to set the release date for the ebook before the date it was published, and I couldn't even change it to any date. It was locked at June 17th. But even if that's true, and you can backdate an ebook, it completely contradicts the official statement made by Amazon, because it can't be a technical issue if it's a perfectly normal and offered function on Amazon's KDP platform. It can't be a glitch and a feature at the same time. So which of these theories is correct? I wish I could tell you, but I really don't know. And right now, all I can do is just give you guys information. But before we end, I want to redirect to my main issue here, because we'll probably never know the real reason that the book said it was published on September 9th instead of September 10th, but it still doesn't answer the question of how did this book get published so fast? It's theorized that when someone publishes multiple times on KDP, Amazon tends to greenlight them faster and faster. This is because Amazon is essentially learning to trust this account and essentially is whitelisting their releases. Now, this is all theorized. It's all alleged, and really it's just a hypothesis at this point because I do not have access to the technology or the information to be able to actually look and track and see who's publishing these books, where they're being published, how quickly they're being published, how long this process is actually taking for these books to be published. I don't have information to any of that, and I doubt Amazon is really keen on giving that to us. However, we do know that before the days of AI books, ebook scammers were still a thing. However, instead of using AI generated material, they often hired human writers to write these ebook scams. It's not entirely unreasonable to assume that these scammers have not gone away. They've just switched to using AI instead of humans. Now, the last explanation, and this is the one that I think is the least likely, is that Amazon could be manually uploading these books. We do know that Amazon has the ability to do that, because as soon as the automatic processing is done, they can put it up. Now, do I think that Amazon is manually uploading all these AI books for all these fake authors? Not really, but it is a thing we know they can do, so I'm putting it on the list. I'm just kind of leaving it at the bottom for me personally. So where does that lead us? what are we up against today? Well, in researching this, I knew that at the end of this video, I was not going to have a clear answer for you guys, and that can be frustrating, but to maybe curb that disappointment a little bit, the point of this video is that now you know just how much things aren't adding up. So in the future, when Amazon makes it possible for anyone to publish their Kindle book within an hour, you'll remember there was a time when Beck Leavesley made a YouTube video when books were being published within a couple hours, when that was not something that was ever happening to any other books other than these AI generated materials. I'm doing this for like the record, like public record or whatever, I don't even know. When I was researching this, something that was really bugging me about these AI books is that never before in the history of humankind have books been used to break news. In every decade before this one, a book has simply taken too long to write to be used as a news system, but not anymore. And I'm sorry for going down the rabbit hole a little bit here, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen tomorrow or in the next 50 years or in the next 700 years, but if there was a time where there was no social media, no TikTok, and no newspapers and no news sources and outlets, Kindle books would be the easiest way to monetize and dictate what kind of news people are receiving. You and I are living in an age of literature publication that has never existed before. The publishing industry has never looked like this. And I'm not saying that this is like a soft launch into some new dystopian Minority Report, iRobot situation, but I think it's important for us to not be naive and to think that Amazon is somehow anti-AI just because they took down the Charlie Kirk book. It's obvious that they don't care if it was a glitch or a flub or a misprint or whatever, because they know that even something like this won't actually affect their business whatsoever, because they are counting on you and me to forget about it. Amazon is never going to try and convince us that these books aren't AI generated, but there might be a time when that doesn't matter because it's all you can get.
And I know that that is like so, like I might as well just go make a tinfoil hat at this point. And like, I probably just need to stop rereading 1984 or something, but like.
I think for generations like mine, we forget just how quickly the world changes. I mean, how many years ago did people literally not have the internet? Is it that crazy to assume that there might be a time in the future where people don't have news stations? We just don't know. And that's my point in making a video like this, is that it is important for us to notice patterns, to ask questions, to not forget, and have it out there for public record that this is what the world was like at September 27th, 2025.
That's the day I'm filming this video.
This is the features that we had at our hands. I can prove it, I can show it to you. Because in the future, they're probably going to change more things, and it's probably going to make whatever's happened now seem muddled and hazy, and
maybe those theories weren't actually real. Maybe Amazon did have that feature.
No, it's important for us to know that right now, this is what we know. And for us not to forget, just because things are going to keep changing. And even if we're proven wrong and this is all just like some
investigative YouTube exercise for us to embark in together,
you can never waste time by using your brain and asking questions. Anyways, you guys, that is all I have for you today. See you guys in the next video. Bye.